very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television with me, Frank Pereira. Let's begin as always with this morning's headlines. Intense heat wave grips the country. Death toll touches 335 as mercury hits the roof. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh worst hit. BJP's massive outreach program on completing 1 year in office. Prime Minister to address rally in Mathura. Tight security in place. Kejriwal to address Jan Samvad meeting in Delhi on his government's 100 days in office. This on a day when IAS Association meets following the Lieutenant General Kejriwal tussle. Gujar's continued stir demanding 5% quota in jobs threatened to expand agitation to other parts of Rajasthan. And Poland is set to get a new president. Conservative challenger Andrzej Duda headed for a win. Incumbent President Komorowski concedes defeat. Our top focus on the bulletin this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a rally in Mathura to mark the first anniversary of the BJP-led NDA government at the centre. Prime Minister Modi would be addressing the rally at Nagla Chandraban, which is the ancestral village of BJP ideologue Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Tight security arrangements have been put in place for the Prime Minister's visit. According to reports, 8 companies of the PAC and 5 companies of Rapid Action Force would be deployed in addition to 7 SP rank officers, 2 additional SPs and 19 deputy SPs at the venue of the rally. About 100 civil police constables, 35 traffic constables and 12 inspectors and sub-inspectors will be stationed in Mathura and Nagla Chandraban village. 1 PAC company for flood relief would be deployed for river patrolling along the Yamuna, which flows through Mathura. As part of its outreach program, BJP leaders will spread out across the country and hold 200 rallies and 5,000 public meetings.
2014 के इलेक्शन में एक बहुत बड़ा बदलाव नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में आया और ये बदलाव है विकास की राजनीति का बदलाव। उससे पहले हिंदुस्तान की राजनीति में कभी भी विकास के विषय में इतना डिस्कशन, इतना ज्यादा काम नहीं हुआ था जितना 2014 के चुनाव में हुआ। एंड द हिस्टोरिकल मैंडेट दैट मिस्टर मोदी एंड द भारतीय जनता पार्टी कुड गेट प्रूव्स द फैक्ट that there were aspirations of people all across the country which had not been met by the previous government.
Well, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal will hold a Jan Samvad at the Central Park in New Delhi's Connaught Place today as his government completes 100 days in office. Kejriwal, who has had a very public spat on administrative matters with the Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung, has accused the NDA government at the centre of trying to run Delhi through the back door. He has also criticized the Ministry of Home Affairs' notification clarifying distribution of powers between the Lieutenant Governor's office and the office of the Delhi Chief Minister, saying it reflects BJP's nervousness about his party's anti-corruption efforts. The Delhi government has now sought legal opinion on the MHA's notification. This latest fracas was preceded by the expulsion of senior AAP leaders Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan from the party following a very public tussle between them and Kejriwal supporters. The opposition has been accusing Kejriwal of trying to hide behind petty issues since he is unable to govern Delhi.
शुरुआत लगभग हर काम पे हो चुकी है। जितना हम कह के आए थे उससे ज्यादा शुरू कर चुके हैं, पर अभी तो बहुत कुछ है जो होना है, जिसका असर लोगों के जीवन में आना है। और हमारी उपलब्धि ये नहीं कि हमने क्या क्या काम शुरू कर दिए। असली उपलब्धि तब होगी जिस दिन लोग कहने लगेंगे हाँ जी अब स्कूल ठीक हो गए, हाँ जी अब अस्पताल ठीक हो गए। जैसे अब लोग कहने लगे कि दिल्ली के सरकारी दफ्तरों में रिश्वत बंद हो गई है, कम हो गई है, ये लोग कहने लगे। ये हमारी उपलब्धि है। हमारी उपलब्धि ये है कि जब कहीं मोहल्ले में जाते हैं तो लोग कहते हैं देखो बिजली के दाम कम हो गए साहब, बहुत बढ़िया हो गया, पानी आने लगा, बहुत बढ़िया हो गया, पानी के बिल हमारे माफ हो गए, बहुत बढ़िया हो गया।
कि आप 49 डेज भी सरकार में आए थे और आज भी आप सरकार में हैं। आप उठाइए ना पूर्ण राज के मुद्दे को, आप उठाइए, पूर्ण राज के लिए आप संघर्ष करिए, लेकिन जिस चीज के लिए आप आए हैं, जो आपको डिलीवरी करनी है, जो आपको गवर्नेंस करनी है, जनता को जो सुविधाएं देनी है, उस सुविधाओं को देने के लिए किसने रोका? केवल बहानेबाजी करते रहेंगे? क्या आप केवल पूर्णराज का गाना गाते रहेंगे? आप जब सरकार में आए थे आपको नहीं पता था कि दिल्ली में किस प्रकार का शासन है? दिल्ली में कितने अधिकार हैं? आपने अधिकारों की डिमांड करनी है, लोकतंत्र है, आप मांगिए अधिकार।
Moving on now, the Central IAS Officers Association will be meeting today to discuss the ongoing controversy over the appointment of Delhi's acting Chief Secretary. The association, which represents over 4,800 IAS officers, will hold its executive committee meet to discuss all the issues affecting governance and administration. The association will be issuing a resolution after the meeting. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal had opposed the responsibility given to Gumlin by Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung and accused her of favouring power distribution companies. This meeting comes a day ahead of the two-day emergency session called by the Delhi government to discuss the centre's notification regarding the powers of the LG. Recently, the Union Territories Cadre IAS Officers Association had expressed its strong objection on the Gumlin issue, saying the character assassination of a civil servant in public was unacceptable. Let's take a look now at some other stories making news across the country in our segment Nationwide. India has dismissed reports that an Indian consortium has scrapped the proposed $10.8 billion steel Hajigak iron ore mine project in Bamiyan province in Afghanistan. Dismissing the reports, India's ambassador to Afghanistan, Amar Sinha, tweeted saying that the reports were incorrect and only an analysis of the proposed project's opportunities and strengths had been done. India had won bids for 3 iron ore mines in Hajigak in the war-torn Afghanistan in November 2011. Police have arrested 7 people, including a Russian national, in possession with banned substances in the Kochi district of Kerala. The police arrested the people after raiding a late-night party at a 5-star hotel. The Russian national was found with packaged powder which tested positive for the presence of narcotics. 5 Maoists were arrested along with weapons in Giridih district of Jharkhand. The police claims that the arrested were extorting money from the public under the guise of different Maoist outfits. The police has also recovered 2 pistols, bullets, an army outfit and many other dangerous equipment from the group. The arrested Maoists are wanted in many criminal cases, including the recent case of robbery at a petrol pump. Hundreds of Kashmiris in Muzaffarabad, capital of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, took to the streets on Sunday to protest against India seeking UN sanctions against Syed Salahuddin, commander of the militant organization Hizbul Mujahideen. According to media reports, India has approached the United Nations Security Council to obtain UN sanctions against Salahuddin, who is based in POK, in order to declare him an international terrorist. Moving on now, India asked Pakistan to seize the assets of underworld Don Dawood Ibrahim and most wanted terrorists Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi. They are named in the UNSC's Al-Qaeda sanctions list. Home Minister Rajnath Singh has asked Pakistan to extend all help in tackling terrorism in the region. Here's a report.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh has asked Pakistan to extend all help in tackling terrorism. He also slammed Pakistan's reaction to Defence Minister Manohar Parikar's remark on neutralizing terrorists with terrorists.
आतंकवाद के लिए जिम्मेदार कौन है? और बराबर हम लोगों ने पाकिस्तान से ये अपील की है कि आतंकवाद को रोकने में वो पूरी तरह से मदद करें, क्योंकि आज पाकिस्तान को भी उसी आतंकवाद के संकट से गुजरना पड़ रहा है। देखिए, आतंकवाद के संकट को लेकर जितने भी सावधानी बरती जानी चाहिए वो हमारे यहाँ बरती जा रही है हमारी सरकार के द्वारा।
Earlier, Pakistan Prime Minister's advisor on national security and foreign affairs, Sartaj Aziz, said Parikar's remarks confirmed Islamabad's apprehensions that India was involved in terrorism in that country. Meanwhile, India is planning to use the diplomatic channel to seize underworld Don Dawood Ibrahim's assets with the help of Pakistan. Dawood, who is a key accused in the 1993 Mumbai serial blast case, is believed to be hiding in Pakistan. India also wants 2611 key accused Hafiz Saeed and Zakir Rahman Lakhvi's assets seized as well. India strongly objected to Lakhvi's bail recently, lodging protest with Pakistan. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but coming up on the other side, unprecedented heat wave grips the country. Death toll rises along with mercury levels. That and much more. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
दुनिया का हाल, राजनीति की चाल, बिजनेस की रफ्तार, खेल का धमाल, दिन की शुरुआत खबरों के साथ। देखिए हर रोज सुबह 9 बजे सिर्फ राज्यसभा टीवी पर।
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, after failed talks with the Rajasthan government, Gujars who are on a stir demanding 5% reservation in jobs continue with their protests. They have now threatened to expand their stir across the state. Protesters blocked highways in parts of the state on Sunday, even as their leaders were booked for rioting and endangering lives. The community members who started the renewed agitation on Thursday by disrupting rail traffic on the Mumbai-Delhi tracks in Bharatpur blocked National Highway 11 at Dausa and a state highway in Sawai Madhopur district to build pressure on the state government. The Gujars who held talks with the government in Bayan town in Bharatpur on Saturday said that they were intensifying their agitation as they had been offered no concrete proposal to meet their demand. The agitation is led by Kirori Singh Bansla, who had spearheaded a similar agitation in 2008.
हम 5% आरक्षण को लेकर हम यहाँ पे जाम लगा रहे हैं। सरकार से शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से हमने यहाँ पे खूब वार्ता की है, इसका कोई सफल समाधान नहीं हुआ है। इसलिए हमने यहाँ पर हम लाटे बाटी की जंग भी लड़ेंगे। अभी हमारे समाज के 72 लोग शहीद हुए, हम 7200 भी होंगे, हम 72,000 भी होंगे। आरक्षण हमारा कैसे हम लेकर रहेंगे।
अगर आगामी मांग पूरी नहीं करी, जब तक मांग पूरी नहीं होगी तो आगे तो आंदोलन जाएगा ही।
Joining me for a chat this morning to talk about this issue is the national political editor of the Hindustan Times, Mr. D.K. Singh. D.K. Singh, thank you for joining me on the program. Of course, the Gujar stir has been going on for a while now, at least for the last 5 days or so, and it has really crippled the state administration in Rajasthan. But as far as the strike itself is concerned and the demands of the Gujars are concerned, are they justified?
This has been a long-standing demand, so whether it's justified or not, I won't be commenting on this. But I'm a bit perplexed by the timing of the agitation. You know, it's a sub judice matter, and I don't know what Colonel Bansla wants to achieve by disrupting train services. And as I understand, some intra-party politics is playing on. Now, within the government, you have a faction which would actually like to complicate matters for Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje. Similarly, in the Congress, there are certain elements, as I understand, are supporting the agitation because Sachin Pilot, who has been an undisputed Gujar leader, has been trying to expand his basically base among other communities. And they would really like to make it more difficult for Sachin Pilot as well.
Indeed.
So it's as much about reservation for Gujars as about political ambitions of certain individuals.
So you're saying basically it's an internal tussle basically that's going on between some political parties, some political bigwigs in the state, and that's what's led to this. And you're also surprised about the timing as far as this issue is concerned. But the way the state government has really dealt with the problem, do you see any kind of a solution in sight anytime soon?
No, because there is not much the state government can do for now. I mean, it's a sub judice matter. I mean, what do you expect the state government to do? And probably Colonel Bansla would ask the state assembly to pass another bill and, let it be covered under the 9th schedule of the constitution. But it's a very complicated process. So right now, state government has to deal with it as a law and order situation. As I understand, the agitation is slowly petering out.
Do you see the state government coming down with an iron fist? Because yes, of course, the agitation is petering down as time passes on, but then you never know what today is a different day, today is another day, things could get out of control. But as far as the state government is concerned, it's looking at it as it should look at it as a law and order situation problem is what you're saying. But is it as simple as that? Because the community is a rather large community and they've been agitating and they could be backed by some political bigwigs.
No, there is no other way the state government can respond right now. I mean, it cannot assure the leaders of this entire agitation that it will get the judiciary to act the way these leaders would want. I mean, the judiciary cannot act as per the convenience of the politicians. Besides, Colonel Bansala is kind of isolated. Sachin Pilot, who is probably the tallest Gujjar leader in Rajasthan, has not spoken out yet. He is basically maintaining that it's for the court to decide. So I don't know how long can Colonel Bansala sustain this entire agitation.
All right, D.K. Singh, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for joining us there with your thoughts and perspectives on this very subject and putting things into perspective for us. Moving on now, the intense heat wave in most parts of India has claimed more lives on Sunday. With at least a week left before the monsoon to arrive in India, the weather conditions are expected to worsen in the coming days. Here's more.
People across the country are reeling under soaring temperatures and subsequent heat wave. At least 335 deaths have been reported so far. The hottest city on Sunday was Allahabad, with the mercury touching 47.7 degrees Celsius. Jamshedpur recorded a maximum of 44.8 degrees on Sunday, which was 4 degrees above normal.
बहुत ज़्यादा गर्मी है, बस ये स्टॉल बांध के हम लोग बस घूम रहे हैं और बस अगर कोई अम्ब्रेला मिल जाए, बस कोल्ड ड्रिंक की दुकान बस यही ढूंढते रहते हैं. बहुत गर्मी है यहाँ पर सही में.
The twin states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh have accounted for more than 200 deaths in less than 10 days. Khammam district of Telangana registered 48 degrees Celsius on Friday. The Meteorological Department issued a severe heat wave warning for all 10 districts of Telangana for the next 3 days. With the temperatures rising 5 to 6 degrees Celsius, the Telangana government has issued advisories to people.
सजेस्ट कर सकते इमीडिएटली गवर्नमेंट से खाली वो लोगों को क्या करना कैसे रहना, ज़्यादा धूप में बाहर नहीं निकलना, थोड़ा छांव में रहना, अच्छे ठंडे पीते रहना, वही सजेशन दिए. ऑलरेडी एडवर्टाइजमेंट भी दिए, सब लोगों को अवेयर कर रहे हैं.
The trend is likely to continue for a few more days as the Met Department has predicted no immediate relief from the heat wave.
Hot and dry winds from central and north India are blowing across the coast in a westerly, northwesterly direction. So it is raising the temperatures along the coastal Andhra Pradesh. The situation will continue for another few days.
The monsoon is expected to arrive in Kerala by the end of this month, causing the present heat wave to persist for some more time. However, the weather department has forecast dust and thunderstorms in Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Western Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. Tamil Nadu and Puducherry may witness similar conditions on May 26th and 27th. Delhi is expected to record a maximum of 45 degrees Celsius in the coming week. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, we'll slip into another short break right now, but coming up on the other side, Indian government begins bombing historic city of Palmyra that's under Islamic State control. I'll tell you all about it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Ganga Action Plan which you have devised. Many environmentalists are saying that it's just the old wine in a new bottle. First thing is that it is not wine. Okay, it's Ganga water. Talking about a Gandhian philosophy, how can we wear a 10 lakh suit? This is really very cheap. They want us to look like beggars. I just could not understand. What is the saffron ideology? I don't know. I want to ask those who talk about it.
Watch To The Point with firebrand Sadhvi Uma Bharti only on Rajya Sabha television.
ओलंपिक नाम उस जगह का है जहां जाकर भारतीय टीम हारती है. जाना हमारा काम है, हराना उनका काम. जब भी आगे बढ़ने का सवाल आया, हमने लखनवी अंदाज में झुककर कहा, पहले आओ.
सबसे बड़ी समस्या तो एक बार जहां से चुनाव जीत गए वहां से फिर जीतना है.
उनकी नजर उनका शहर में शरद जोशी का रचना संसार.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Poland is set to get a new president. Conservative challenger Andrzej Duda headed for a victory in Sunday's presidential poll, edging out President Komorowski by a margin of at least 6%. The exit poll results came as a huge blow to Komorowski, who had been the favorite in the first round but could not win the required 50% votes to win outright. Official results of the polls are expected later today. Here's more.
Poland sprung up a surprise in the presidential polls held on Sunday. Conservative challenger Andrzej Duda unseated incumbent Bronislaw Komorowski, dealing a huge blow to the governing Civic Platform party. Soon after the exit poll results, Duda emerged to thank the voters and celebrate the first major electoral win for his party, the opposition Law and Justice Party, in almost a decade.
I oddali w tych wyborach głos. To ważne. I w związku z tym prezydent Rzeczypospolitej, kiedy już zostaje wybrany, to ma służyć narodowi.
Incumbent President Bronislaw Komorowski conceded defeat even before the declaration of official results expected later today.
Gratuluję mojemu konkurentowi w wyborach prezydenckich, panu Andrzejowi Dudzie. Gratuluję wyniku i życzę mu udanej prezydentury.
The victory is being hailed as a remarkable and decisive one for Duda, who was previously a little-known right-wing politician. Experts say the exit poll results reflect the voters' frustration that Poland's newfound prosperity was not being evenly shared. It's also a stark message to the government of Prime Minister Ewa Kopacz, an ally of Komorowski, who faces a tight re-election battle against the conservative opposition later this year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now. The Syrian government has reportedly begun bombing the historic city of Palmyra days after the city was seized by the Islamic State militants. A video released on Sunday purportedly shows the aftermath of an aerial bombardment in Palmyra. News reports claim that the Syrian government resorted to aerial attacks on the Islamic State after reports of mass executions being carried out by them in Palmyra. A state-run TV channel claimed at least 400 people had been killed by the IS militants in Palmyra since they seized the historic city last week. Meanwhile, the Syrian Air Force is also reported to have cracked down on insurgents in its west. At least 300 insurgents have been killed in strikes that broke the siege at a hospital in northwestern Syria on Sunday. Dozens of Syrian troops had been holed up at the Jisr al-Shughor hospital since April. State television reports on Sunday showed wounded soldiers arriving at another hospital in the nearby coastal area, which is a stronghold of Assad's supporters. Assad has lost large parts of Idlib province to insurgents since late March, when the provincial capital fell to the militants.
والله العظيم لك ما خلينا فيهم واحد لك تمنى قوم لآخر شيء.
Well, days after the Islamic State militant group seized the city of Ramadi in Iraq, U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter has accused Iraqi forces of lacking the will to fight the terror group. He was speaking at CNN's State of the Union, where he said that the Iraqi forces had vastly outnumbered the IS forces but chose to withdraw. He said, and I quote, "What apparently happened is the Iraqi forces just showed no will to fight. They were not outnumbered. In fact, they vastly outnumbered the opposing force. We can give them training, we can give them equipment, we obviously can't give them the will to fight." The head of Iraq's Defense and Security Committee, however, said that the comments were unrealistic and baseless. Carter's comments in the wake of the IS militants regaining ground in Iraq and Syria. Last week, the IS fighters forced Iraqi military out of Ramadi and seized the city, which is known as the gateway to Iraq's capital, Baghdad. The fall of Ramadi has also sparked questions once again about the effectiveness of the Obama administration's approach in Iraq. American mathematician John Nash, who inspired the Oscar-winning film A Beautiful Mind, died in a car crash with his wife. Nash and his wife Alicia were killed when their taxi crashed in New Jersey. They were traveling southbound in the left lane when the taxi went out of control while trying to pass another car. The car crashed into the guardrail and then into another car in the right lane. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Two others, including their taxi driver, were also injured. John Nash is renowned for his work in game theory that won him the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1994. Nash was also known for his personal struggle with paranoid schizophrenia. His wife, Felicia Nash, who was an MIT physics major, was credited with saving his life after schizophrenia derailed his career in the 1960s, letting him into her home and looking after him even after they got divorced in 1963. Let's bring you up to date with some more international news in our segment World Wrap. At least 3 people were killed and over a dozen wounded after an improvised explosive device went off outside a roadside restaurant in Pakistan's industrial city hub. Police sources said that the device was planted in a motorcycle parked outside the restaurant and was possibly aimed at a convoy of President Mamnoon Hussein's son that passed by seconds before the blast occurred. Some of the wounded were shifted to a local hospital while critical cases were moved to the civil hospital in Karachi. A military site controlled by Shiite Houthi rebels in Yemeni capital Sana'a was pounded by a Saudi-led airstrike. Black smoke rose from the site and several explosions were seen. The explosion was believed to be from ammunition stored at the site. The airstrikes followed intense clashes between Saudi forces and the Houthi militia on the Saudi-Yemeni border, destroying part of the main Harad border crossing between the two countries overnight. There were no immediate reports of casualties. One civilian was killed in heavy shelling in the government-controlled town of Avdiivka in East Ukraine. The killing halted the production at one of Europe's largest coke plants. The factory owned by Metinvest produces 40% of Ukraine's coke and is the main employer in the town. The site has become a target for pro-Russian separatists since they took up arms against the government in April last year. Thousands of mourners attended the funeral of Burundi opposition figure Zedi Feruzi. Feruzi, who was shot dead alongside his bodyguard by unknown gunmen, was buried in Bujumbura on Sunday. He led the opposition party UPD. At his funeral, opposition leaders said that after the killing, they could not continue with a United Nations-sponsored dialogue aimed at ending the unrest in the country. Let's now bring you up to date with sports action from around the world in our Sports Beat. EPL champions Chelsea ended their campaign 8 points clear at the top, beating Sunderland 3-1 in the finals of the Premier League at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. Stephen Fletcher's header in the 26th minute put the visitors ahead, but Diego Costa's penalty in the 37th minute levelled the game before the break. Later, Loic Remy scored twice in the second half and helped Chelsea to seal the victory. Vitesse booked their place in the Europa League qualifying playoff final with a 1-1 home draw against the 10 men of PEC Zwolle in Arnhem on Sunday. Burkina Faso midfielder Bertrand Traoré and put Vitesse ahead on 18 minutes when he netted his 14th of the league season. Czech midfielder Tomáš Nečed equalized in 11 minutes after half-time. Vitesse will now face Heerenveen in the two-leg final for the right to play in the next season's Europa League. Defending champion Lewis Hamilton lost at the Monaco Grand Prix in his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg on Sunday. Hamilton controlled the race until a strategic error by his team cost him the race. Mercedes decided to pit him during a late safety car period. Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel ended the race in second position. That's it on this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day.